All right, so let's break down a hand. Now, this is a hand from a home game I played a couple months ago. Now, to quickly set the stage, this is a 1-2 no limit Texas Hold'em cash game. And this is a game where I feel that I have an edge at specifically and have been very profitable against the pool of players. Now, there are a couple good players sprinkled into a pool of average to bad players, and several that are loose, aggressive, and overplay marginal hands. So we'll get to the hand in a minute, but before I do that, while I will have a variety of skill levels and experience following this channel, I'm going to not just break down the hands, but talk about foundational concepts for those who might be a little bit newer, want to start to understand the game maybe at a deeper level, dabble more in playing than they might have in the past, and or potentially somebody who wants to just resurrect their game from a time they might have played more. So understand in general with Texas Hold'em, it's way less about getting cards than it is about position, opponent, and understanding situations. Now, in general, your goal should be to take advantage of other players' mistakes, not get cards, right? And just remember this, the optimal position at the table where you will make a majority of your profit, whether you're at a home game, at a casino, is on the dealer button. Because as the dealer, where you are last to act, you have major positional advantage. Okay, so let's get into this hand. All right, so this hand was won within the first 30 to 40 minutes of the night, where I had bought in for $200 and I'm sitting with just over $230. Now, I get dealt ace-3 suited with 2 diamonds on the button. Now, there are 8 other players at the table. The under the gun player plus 2 decides to open for $11, which is 5.5 big blinds. Now, before going further, whether you're playing a tournament or a cash game, you want to normalize everything in your head to big blinds rather than absolute dollars. This is a skill that takes time, but it really is critical to helping your play be consistent without getting disoriented by dollars and chips being thrown around. Now, with this game, 5 to 7 big blinds is a typical opening raise. Everyone buys it for 200, which is exactly 100 big blinds. So deep stacks, but fairly standard. So the player that opens, it's important to note, he's the biggest NIT in the game. Now, what do I mean by that? He's an extremely tight player, and he's opening in early position. So he opens with absolute premium hands, avoids risks, and doesn't often bluff. Now, the upside to a NIT, rarely are they going to lose a lot during a given session. Now, conversely, the downside, they also don't win a ton because they aren't extracting a ton of value for the good hands that they do have. And in situations like this where I'm about to describe, a player like me who focuses on player type will use a situation with a good, not great hand, like ace-3 of diamonds, but one that has the potential to turn into the nuts, push this guy around. So this NIT opens for $11. So in my head, he has something premium. High pocket pair. Jacks, queens, kings, maybe aces, although I block one of the aces, but likely a very solid pocket pair. At worst, I think he has a hand like ace-king or ace-queen suited. All right? So you get 3 folds behind him, but then there is a call from the player to my right, who is the host, who is what I would call a lag player. Now, what is a lag? A lag is loose and aggressive. Now, more elaboration on player type for a later day, but quickly think of them as the polar opposite of a NIT. Playing a ton of hands, much more than the average player, a lot of 3-bets, shoving a lot, calling light, and bluffing a lot as well. So he calls 11, and this is a perfect situation for me to be able to potentially capitalize on one of these 2 players depending on the flop, the NIT or the lag player. So I decide to make it $30, the 3-bet raise, which is just under 3x, the 3x big blinds. Small blind folds behind me. The big blind calls $30, and I called this guy another lag player, who we will designate as the villain because of his longevity in his hand. But this player to me is not as good as the lag and the cutoff to my right. Now, the NIT, who is the original raiser, of course, seeing a lot of this additional action, knowing that there are 2 loose and aggressive players and me, I would designate as a tight and aggressive player, he folds. The lag to my right decides to call. So the pot is 102 going to the flop, and the flop comes out king of clubs, 7 of diamonds, jack of diamonds, so 2 diamonds. Now, this is a great situation for me. And what I want from opponents is action now. And all in, I'm still likely not going to fold because I have the nut flush draw. So the villain lag and the other lag decide to check because they know that I'm a tight and aggressive player. I could check as well, but I decide I want to build this pot. My logic is if they don't have a piece of this flop, I'm likely getting no action going ahead to the next streets anyway. So the big blind lag calls, the cutoff lag eventually decides to fold. And now there's ultimately going to be 152 in the pot and going into the turn. And the turn is now going to be a queen of spades. So now in addition to the nut flush draw, I have a gut shot nut straight draw. Now, at this point, even if the lag is slow playing a set of kings, a set of queens, a set of jacks, which is virtually impossible given his player type, I am in a great situation where I have a potential to really bust him on the river here. And I have 3 aces that give me a top pair. I have 3 non-diamond 10s that give me a straight, and I have 9 cards, the 9 other diamonds in the deck that give me the nut flush. So I have a 25% chance to hit the nut. So if he bets even half the pot around $75, I'm getting 4-1 on my money. So only an overbet is going to get me off this hand. So this villain decides to check. And now I have to start thinking about his range. And I'm thinking he is on a draw, a diamond draw, also a straight draw, some kind of a combo. So I decide to check behind him because I need cards to likely win the hand. So what do we see here? The river comes out, and the river is exactly what I need it to be. It is presto. It is a 5 of diamonds. So what do? I hit, at this point, the nut flush. So my thought now is, okay, how do I get all the villain chips in the center? Did he also hit a flush? He would have missed a straight, but maybe the range I'm putting him on contains some sort of a combo draw, but nothing too strong, or else he would have been more aggressive on previous streets. Maybe he has a king-9 of diamonds at best, but he's likely holding some sort of a king something or jack something in his hands. So he decides to bet $100, all right? Without any hesitation at all, I decide to shove all in. All right, I have the nut flush. Now, I could have hesitated a little bit, but this is some of the mind games I decided to play. He tanks, which means he thinks about it for a bit. And when he tanks, although I knew he was beat, given I had the nuts, I realized his hand wasn't so great. So I needed to exhibit behavior to seem nervous. And we can get into some tells around this later, but what I did worked. And what did he do? He called, and before he called, he said, I probably am beat. And he was absolutely right. And this is the start of me tilting him and owning him the whole night. What does he show? He shows king 10 offsuit. A combo where he had an open-ended straight draw and a top pair on the flop with a mediocre kicker. And ultimately, he was busted. So nice job, Chris.